Hello, my beautiful fellow human light being. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. You have once again returned to the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel. So today we are going to discuss the dark side of the Solar Flash 5D event that we are currently experiencing. And my question for you is, are you ready to see the dark truth of the third dimension? Because what you are experiencing on Earth is in fact an illusion. So, welcome to the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel with that happy introduction. This is the gathering place for all 5D starseeds and light workers. And tomorrow at 8:30, because this is Friday where I'm at, tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we will have another live guided interdimensional meditation to manifest the Solar Flash Ascension event. And I hope that you can make it. They're very powerful experiences. In fact, I'm going to be talking about what I experienced this last time just a couple of days ago. And as always, my suggestion for you is to question your reality and then change it. Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. So we had a live guided interdimensional meditation a couple of nights ago. This is Friday, so we had it on Wednesday. We have it, by the way, every Wednesday night and every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's live, and it's I guide you through the meditations. They're live streamed. It's okay if you can't make it during the live meditation. Come when you can. What's important is that you stay. It's not like you listen to a meditation and you listen to that same meditation every day. That's not what's happening here. Although you could. There's no reason why you couldn't do that, especially if you gain something from it. Some of the meditations where I take you to different planets, different places for different energy experiences, those can be repeated. But the idea behind these weekly ones is that we are being guided and led by higher dimensional beings who are guiding us to help this evolution that we're experiencing through what is, we are in fact in the 5D Solar Flash event. I know that you've been led to believe that the Solar Flash is a one-time instantaneous experience that happens and it's done and it's over with. But I learned 2 years ago when I was shown this in a vision and I asked what this was all about. What I was told by light beings was that this was an event that consisted of a series of solar waves hitting Earth and shifting up awareness. So that's what we are in. We are in this continuing solar flash event, and very, very powerful stuff. So I'm going to be talking about what happened this last time. So if you want to stop this, and if you want to go back to the most recent live guided interdimensional meditation, you can go ahead and do that. So sometimes I have an idea of how I'm going to guide the meditation. There is always some things that I don't plan, and I allow myself to be guided instinctually or intuitively into whatever it is that we're doing. Sometimes I plan it more than others. This last time I didn't plan anything. And as you saw, if you go back and do it, you'll see that I'm, almost struggling with, where I'm being led to go, because I don't know what I'm going to do or what I'm going to say sometimes, until it comes out of my mouth. And in this last one, something very strange began to happen, which I didn't plan on. And at some point, we were doing the huar breath, which is what you hear in the background, by the way. That is the seed sound mantra for the solar flash event. That is not a mantra that you will find anywhere. It wasn't something I made up. It was taught to me, it was channeled to me in real time by a higher dimensional being, my teacher, one of my teachers, who came and didn't just like say, here's a mantra. It was just sort of like, I was working with his energy, and he was guiding the energy, and as I was chanting, he was guiding the energy and turned it into this, what you hear in the background, which is huar, which is earth, hu, shifting up to higher frequency solar energy. Ar, A-R, huar. So we were chanting that, and even though my eyes were closed, I had the very distinct impression that right over here, you can't see it, but right over there is my couch I've got set up, looking up the big screen TV. And I could sense that standing right over there was a being. And it was a being I'd never experienced before, to the best of my knowledge. And it came across as dark. I don't mean dark in the sense of evil or foreboding. It's just the energy was like this dark infinity. And it reminded me a lot of the being that I met a while back, who presented himself as the Father. And there, if you want to know, one of the expressions of God is a being that is both masculine and feminine. It is both light and dark. Light is feminine, dark is masculine. That's opposite from what you would think. When you look at the yin and the yang, the light is the yang, and it means masculine, and the dark is the yin, which means feminine. But at the center of those, the center of the light, which is the masculine, is a dark spot, a spot of darkness. So the source of the yang, the source of the masculine in the third dimension, is actually dark infinity. And the yin, which is represented by black, at the center of that is a white dot. That dot represents the core essence of yin, which is actually light. So when I first met these beings, this being that said it was the mother-father deity, I was confused, because the mother was pure, bright, white light, and in fact was the essence of all starlight. And so that's why, in case you didn't know, the sun is a feminine deity. You haven't been taught that, because that has shifted over into modern times as the sun is masculine. But even in Vedic traditions and others, my ethnic tradition of Norse, pre-Christian Norse religion, the sun is a goddess, Sunna. She's a goddess. And so the source of all feminine is actually light. And the source of all masculine is actually darkness. A lot of people, one person asked me one time, why do you wear black all the time? And, was giving me a hard time about why I wear black shirts. I just happen to like black. I like blue and other colors as well. And I look better in dark, So, but black represents pure infinity, represents pure power, and represents the emptiness associated with real power. Because the moment that something is manifests in a specific form, it's limited. And you may not know this by reading it, but if you go back and read Vedic mythology, and you listen to the feminine communicating with the masculine, where there's some scriptures where Shiva is communicating with Shakti, with Parvati, the goddess of creation. What you find out is that the feminine in the third dimension is limited. Once it's created, it's limited. That's why reality is a goddess called Maya, which means illusion. And it doesn't mean illusion like somebody lying to you. It means creating a beautiful illusion to experience. This is why Venus, the goddess of love, the goddess of beauty, the goddess of happiness and enjoyment, she's into things. But what she's about is that she's not attached to physical objects in a negative, superficial, materialistic way. It's that she loves this is why she loves art and music, because this created world is a beautiful illusion that we should ingest, that we should enjoy. But the moment that's created, it now has limitation. And so this is why Shiva is represented as this ascetic. He's this naked ascetic with matted hair, and he doesn't take care of himself. All he does is he meditates, and he's celibate, and he sits on the top of a mountain and meditates, and he connects himself to everything. He's nothing and connects to everything. And if you know the Vedic mythology, Parvati comes to him, and she can't get him out of his mind. She's just absolutely in love with him and everything about him, and she can't get his attention. She goes to study with him and meditate with him, and she tries to communicate with him, and he's gone. He's completely connected to everything. And so she uses the Kama, the god of lust, or Cupid, basically, to wake him up. And so he's awoken by this desire, and it takes him out of his meditation. And in his fury, his anger, he opens up his third eye and he kills the god of lust for taking him out of his bliss. And she comes to him crying, and she says, please bring him back. It's not his fault. I brought him here. I was so in love with you. I needed to see you. I needed to experience you. And when he sees the love in her, this is what brings him completely out of his meditation, and he falls in love with her, and he brings back the god of lust. So this is the dance between the masculine and the feminine. So this is a long introduction to explain, I don't know what this being was, but it was a being of that kind of darkness. It was the darkness of infinity. And I was unnerved by it. I've gotten to the point where beings of light come into my home, whether I experience them or I sense them. I'm used to it by now, and I actually look forward to feeling that presence come into my home. So when I got the impression, and I could see in my mind's eye, there was a dark, infinite being there, being of infinite darkness that was there. It was unsettling to me, and I even said something. And if you listen to me as I'm guiding you through it, I say something along the lines of, this is an uncomfortable energy I'm experiencing. But I went with it, of course. And so, as you remember in that meditation, there were these 2001, octagonal portals of, dark emptiness that we were filtering the energy through. And I didn't remember, I got a feeling that this was going to have a powerful effect on the planet, but afterwards, I was doing interdimensional meditation, and I reconnected with that entity again. And I'll give you, let's see, this being said, that this being said it was the darkness that obscures the truth. And the interaction was that we're going to reveal real truth to you. Are you ready for it? And of course I said yes. I said, this is going to be challenging. It's going to be a challenging experience for you. Because, when you know the truth, you won't be able to attach. anymore. So a lot of questions about, are you ready to let go of reality as you know it? And when I am asked these kinds of questions, I never just say yes. I mean, I never say no, but I sometimes will stop and go, let me examine this before I just say I'm ready for this. I want to make sure I know what I'm doing. And I became aware that I had attachments to certain things within the third dimension. Now, when it comes to human society, the economy, the dark force corporate monster that's got tentacles all over the place, all of the nonsense that we're being programmed with. No, that's not something that I need to be awoken to, as far as I know. But if I could get rid of all of that and still be in the third dimension, I would do it. I'm not saying that's my conscious decision. That's just my 3D self wants that. I want all the fun things about 3D without any of the nonsense. And I became aware that this energy was saying, if you want to know the real truth, you're going to have to let go of this world even more. And when it became real that I was going to have to let go of this world even more, it became a little bit frightening. What does that mean? What is beyond this? And so, the interaction between me and this being was that, he's being's like, I can't tell you that. That's something you have to experience. Of course, none of this is happening in words like I'm giving to you now. It's happening on a whole different level. But what I was told was that this was an interesting phrase. This being said, if you want to awaken, then we have to take away some of your third dimensional privileges. First I went, what are you talking about? You're going to take away some privileges from me? That sounds like, parents telling you can't stay up after 10 o'clock and you can't watch television, or you can't use your phone, or you can't play video games, or I'm like, I don't want my stuff taken away from me. And of course that's not what that meant. And what it meant was that I went, so what does this mean? I mean, I don't like the way this sounds. So explain to me what this means. And what I was told was that the ability to feel safe in this third dimensional reality, specifically the ability to see safety in human society, is a privilege. And then I went, I'm going to go look up the word privilege, because that all sounds really strange, but privilege is something that allows you to have an easier time. That's a good way of describing it. A privilege, it's a privilege to vote. It's a privilege to drive. It's a privilege to be able to walk. These are privileges. They allow you the ability to enjoy certain things. And so it's interesting that these beings communicate this way, because they communicate in ways that it's like they don't make sense. It's almost like they don't understand language. But that's not what it is. It's that these concepts are actually revealed to me, and to you as well if you have this experience. They're revealed to me in ways that bring out deep awarenesses that you would never see, because they're seeing it. Bear in mind, they're on the other side of the fishbowl. I talk about 3D reality, Earth 3D reality being like a mirrored fishbowl. You're inside of it and you can't see out of it, but you look up and you see it's mirrored back to you. So you think you're looking into infinity, but not. You're just looking at, just like when you're standing in between two mirrors and you look in, the mirror reflection just goes in infinite directions. It's actually not. It's two walls right there. So they're outside of that. So they're able to tell you truths that you can't see. And so I became aware that the ability to find pleasure, safety, and the feeling of camaraderie within the third dimension is a privilege, meaning it is something that allows you the ability to enjoy where you are. People of privilege are people with money in our world. So money gives you the ability to travel, gives you the ability to buy things, gives you the ability to give yourself, resources, entertainment, and we call it a privilege. For those of us who are not among the super rich, especially, this is something that I've really noticed about celebrities. Bear in mind, I wanted to be one. I was an actor when I got out of 8 years of college. I came out and I was an actor, and I was in Hollywood, and I had a theater company, and I was, I did bit parts in movies and television, and did some independent stuff and all of that. And I had every intention of being, the next whoever, the next Robert De Niro. I had every intention of doing that. And, there was a time when it looked like I might have, but, Hollywood never opened its doors to me that way. And I'm really grateful it didn't. I mean, speaking of Robert De Niro, the guy's completely lost it when it comes to knowing what's going on in the world. He's just completely, and now we see this. We see this with the celebrity class. Celebrities have been so brainwashed, and they have a desire to stay brainwashed, because where do you think all of their money and their privilege comes from? It comes from the fake narrative. And so of course they're clueless. Of course Robert De Niro is foaming at the mouth saying nonsense. Of course Bill Maher is saying nonsense. Because I'm not going to get into the specifics, but it's of course, because the narrative is what keeps them in all of their money and all of their, keeps them isolated in their self-referential, self-absorbed, this has always been the case with celebrities, but it's really clear now. And so from those of us who aren't in it, we look at them and we don't see them as knowing the truth, seeing the truth. Look at Johnny Depp. I don't know the guy, but based on what I know, he has to go around. He has bodyguards that go everywhere with him, and he can't interact with the world directly because he's such a huge star, and he's just one of many. This is true with billionaires, and they can't interact directly with the world. In fact, when I was a long time ago, and I worked this was when I was in college, but I was heading towards, I was getting my acting degree. What a waste of time that was. And I was going off, getting ready to go off to Hollywood and do the thing. And I was working in a restaurant as not a waiter, but as a host. TGI Fridays, as it turns out. And this producer comes in, and he's absolutely distraught. He is beside himself. Now, I didn't know he was a producer. He said he was a producer. And he's in the waiting room waiting for a table. And, I'm the one that's going to get him a table. And I'm going, oh my God, this guy. So I'm thinking of how can I get this guy a table, because I'm hoping I'll somehow get an in with him, and then he'll get me in the business. Of course, it's just sad that I even thought that way, but I that's how I was thinking at the time. And he was very, very, very upset. And he started talking about this actress that had just used him and thrown him away. And he said, I'm a producer, and all they want from you is, and she made me believe that she cared about me and all of that. And, he was, and point is that he wasn't able. He wasn't able to connect with a woman. He used his privilege to get connections with beautiful, young, desperate women. And of course, then the reality of they didn't like him for who he was. They liked him for what he could potentially do for them. And he was very wounded by that. And so that's what I mean by people of privilege aren't really connected to the truth. And what you find out, I've named people before, but, people have passed away. Michael Jackson, he was miserable when he died. Prince, he was miserable when he died. Both of those guys died drug addicts. And they were very successful, very talented, but they died miserable, lonely, horrible deaths. And their privilege did nothing for them but hide them from the truth and hide them from real connection. So this is the idea behind what this being was saying. This being was saying, the privilege you've had up until now to be able to see the third dimension as a beautiful, healing, loving place, or the possibility of it being something that can give you joy and pleasure, you're going to lose that privilege, which meant we're going to show you the truth. And so since that was Wednesday, and this is now Friday. It's only been a couple of days, but it's been kind of a bummer. But here's what I've come to learn about this, which I've always known, which is, first, let me just tell you that as a human being, you are not a third dimensional human being. That is an illusion. You are a being of infinite light, of infinite love, and infinite consciousness. You don't know that because you have come to this illusion called the third dimension. And in order to function in this level, because your awareness in higher dimensions is so vast and so powerful that you can't be seduced into a false reality. So in order to be able to experience this third dimension, you had to give that up. You had to give up your awareness, your consciousness, your connection and awareness of your infinite light and infinite love, and you were brought down to this very limited three-dimensional reality. And in order to function, you created a false character, which is your human identity. My name is Michael William Denny. I was born in 1963, Glendale, California. Grew up in Southern California, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff was made up. It's something that my soul invented. It wrote a character because I had to have a character to show up to the show, to the facade, the fictional thing. I had to have a character. So that's my character. Yours is your name, your history, your past. You're good at this, you're bad at that, blah, blah, blah. It's all made up. That's not who you are. You are a being of infinite light, love, and infinite consciousness. And so when we are presented with the feeling that I had from the beginning of this interaction with this being, at first, my first experience was I was a little scared because it was just, there was something foreboding about it, which of course was real truth and real awareness, which was being, the delusion and the illusion was just being in the presence of that being. My 3D, delusion was starting to come apart, which is frightening because we believe that our survival depends upon the third dimension. But the third dimension is nothing but an illusion. Nothing. There's nothing real about it. And so this being said that it was, what I was experiencing is that this being was actually a being of intense light, pure light. But I couldn't see it because I didn't have the ability in the third dimension to perceive it. So the only thing I can perceive is this dark mass moving around. But that's just because it's just like, when you get to a page where, your internet doesn't work, it says file not found, 405 or whatever it is. You don't have access. You're denied access to this web page, So that's really what's happening. There's a being of incredible power, incredible consciousness, love, and light, but it is so far beyond my third dimensional ability to perceive it. It just, it's sort of like this spinning beach ball that you see on your computer, and it's just, file not found, cannot process. And so the frightening aspect is knowing that if you were able to see that being for what it is, you would have to drop your attachment to this reality. And that means you have to be willing to go through death, dying to your understanding, which is what I've been asking for. Not that I've been asking to die, I've been asking for, if you guys exist, I want to be one of those people. My goal is to be like one of those, like the Babaji types. I want to be able to shift in and out of realities. If this is real, I want to be part of it. And if I'm here to help guide people, I think somebody should be able to go back and forth and say, hey, it's real, I've been there, I did it. So, I assume this is getting a little bit closer to that. So that darkness that's obscuring the truth, which is, when I said, what are you? Being said, I'm the darkness that obscures the light of the truth, is what it said. Of course, I went, what the heck does that mean? So let me share with you now what I've come to realize about this third dimension, because I've been spending a lot of time. I just recently came out of a long-term reaction with a teacher of mine. And I've just decided that I no longer can benefit from that connection and that relationship. I'm not going to get into specifics, but it was very disillusioning for me, a very disillusioning experience. It's a great word for it. My disillusion, my illusion was taken away. And I saw something about the dynamic and something that I realized was, I hadn't been seeing the truth about certain things. In any case, it was a very disillusioning experience, and it still is. But it was a direct result of this work we've been doing, a direct result of these live guided interdimensional meditations. And it sort of makes sense why there aren't, millions of people following me, because the world just isn't ready. This has been, a disillusioning experience to wake up to the fact that the world just isn't as ready as I would like them to be. I don't know what it's going to take, but the average human has no clue of what's happening. There's no clue, no awareness. They're completely lost in the illusion of the third dimensional fiction. And so what I'm realizing is that the privilege that I had of seeing love among humans, that humans are good, they love each other, they really are there for each other. And I'm not saying that's not true, but what I'm becoming more aware of is that the third dimension is a realm of transactions. So, generally speaking, all human relationships are transactional, meaning nobody is truly loved for who they are. People are loved for what they do for each other. And that's true even in friendships, that's true in marriage relationships, it's true in families. The only place that I've seen that isn't the case is among healthy relationships between a mother and a child, and in some cases a father and a child. But the father, really the role of the father, interestingly enough, I would say this is a masculine entity because of the infinite darkness. This masculine entity is teaching me that this world is a transactional place. In fact, that part of the lesson is that the third dimension is designed to be a transactional environment, because in a transactional environment, you can only find your sense of worth within yourself, which again is why celebrities are so miserable, because their entire identity is based on the adulation, the praise, and the money that they get from others. And they're not loved for who they are. They're loved for what they do. They're loved for their talent, their looks, their money, their power. I'm not going to name any names because she's still alive, but a pop singer that when I was, a teenager and a kid was a super hot, young, sexy woman. She's now older than I am, and she is not getting the hint. She's out there trying to make videos and trying to make music as she's some hot, sexy thing, and she's not. I'm going to be 61 in a few months, and you can look at me. I mean, I don't look like I'm 25 years old. I think I'm in great shape. I feel great, but I'm in that stage where people will go, "Wow, he looks really good for his age." You won't be able to say that without putting that. I came out of, I was surfing a few weeks back, and I came out of the water and I was talking with somebody, and he was complaining about, "Oh my God, at 35 years old, I can't do it like I used to." And I said, 60. And he went, "What?" And of course, the unsaid phrase was, "You look really good for your age." So, when women get to be my age and older, there's no there's no amount of surgery that's going to fix that. Just let yourself be who you are. And if you don't have the feeling that you are loved for who you are, and that thing that made you, the sexy hotness, being a sex symbol, if you can't pull that off, you aren't going to feel valuable. The transactional relationship with the world was, be sexy and we will love you and we will pay you and we will lust after you, or we will wish to be you, or we will whatever. Now you're not that. I don't want that. It's very common. But this world is based on transactional relationships. If you're a beautiful woman, plenty of men out there that are going to want to be with you because you're beautiful and sexy, and they're going to want that. And if you're a rich man, there's plenty of beautiful women out there that are willing to give you, in a transactional relationship, access to their beauty and their sexiness in exchange for your money and your power and your privilege and your influence and all of that. So, and those are just extreme examples, and of course it's a scale, but every relationship is transactional, every single one, except the mother and an infant. Outside of that, and maybe your pets, your pets love you for who you are. You don't have to do or be anything. Even if you don't feed them for a few days, they're still going to love you. You can put it. I heard this. Somebody said this. If you throw your dog and your wife and lock them in the trunk, the only person that's going to be happy to see you when you open your trunk up is your dog. Your wife's not going to be happy to see you. Your dog will love you no matter what. So maybe dogs, cats will love you unconditionally. And you can love them unconditionally. You won't want anything. But when it comes to humans, everything is a transactional relationship. And the end result of that is that you will never experience the true value of yourself as long as you are seeking it in the third dimension. The third dimension will never reward you for just simply being alive. Won't happen. You have to find that within yourself. And that won't fully happen until you're out of the third dimension. So people talk about achieving enlightenment. I've been saying for years that whole enlightenment thing is nonsense. The whole idea that if you become enlightened, all of a sudden all of your problems go away, and I've never seen that. I've trained with extremely powerful, extremely wise spiritual teachers. I've never seen one person, not one, Never seen one person who was fully and completely able to experience their inherent worth and need nothing and have no challenges. It's never happened. I don't think it's possible to be human. I've always said if you're going to achieve enlightenment, if I were enlightened, I would, I've never pretended to be enlightened. Never come close to that. Never even anywhere near said anything along those lines. Of course, I've never thought it. But I also know it doesn't exist in the third dimension. Are there some wise teachers? Yes. Are there some people who have achieved a level of self-awareness and self-love? Yes. But if you achieve true union with yourself and you are able to fully experience your worth, which is simply because you exist, and you become totally engrossed in the bliss of your own awareness, you will phase out of this dimension. You will shift up to another dimension. Period. End of story. And so as I'm asking for this, I've been asking for this, not only for myself, but because, as I said, this is where we're headed. And I want to be able to tell people this exists. I've been there. I've seen it. In fact, I'll go there now. I'm back. It's there. I want to be able to be that. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. So if that's what I'm asking, this being shows up. The first thing I have to do is be able to let go of any hope of finding complete fulfillment while we're in the third dimension. It won't happen. So if you look here and you see these three earths, the 2D, the 3D, and the 5D, again, those are just phrases. I think all three of those are within the third dimension. They're just various levels. As I've said many times, I already know there are multiple frequencies of the third dimension sitting right on top of each other. So that's just within the third dimension. But if you want to know what that is, the people in 2D are going to be people who believe that their sense of value will come from things, will come from money, or will come from being part of a group. The 3D there will be, I think, will be very similar to this, but there will be some shifts and some changes which I'm not completely sure about. But as I understand it, that's what the third dimension is going to be. And of course, it will be a transactional place. 5D will be as high as you can go in frequency in the third dimension. Maybe it'll be the fifth dimension. It might be another dimension altogether. I'm not opposed to that idea. My suspicion is that it will be the highest frequency of the third dimension, where you're still physical, everything still is 3D, but it's all, you see everything for what it is, and you have that experience of being completely loved simply because of who you are, and people see you and love you simply because of who you are. I haven't seen it lately, but on dating sites, people often say, I just want to find somebody who loves me for who I am. And I always want to say to that person, I'm sorry, that's never going to happen in this life, because it's impossible. People can't see you for who you are. This is something I learned in Vedic astrology. If you want an astrology reading, by the way, you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. You can get a reading from me or one of my apprentices. What you learn in Vedic astrology is nobody ever sees you for who you are. What they see is your reflection. And so part of the illusion is to live your reflection. My reflection is the spiritual warrior. If I really wanted to be, live my spiritual warrior Aruda, which I don't know, I would walk around shirtless, covered with lots of necklaces, and I might even have tattoos everywhere, and all that, and I would look like the spiritual warrior. I've done that by accident. In between videos, I'll take my shirt off and walk around. I go, oh, holy crap! I look much better this way. I just don't have the. I just don't. I don't have the. Anyway, I'm a little too modest to do that, but. I should probably do that one video just to see what happens. Anyway, but the point I'm trying to make is that even Vedic astrology tells you nobody's going to ever see you for who you are. You can't get by in this life based on your worth just because you exist. You have to have something that other people want from you. And all relationships are built like that. So in order for us to get past this, the lesson is, in order for us to get past this third dimension, we have to be willing to walk away from the third dimension altogether, which means the stuff, the things that we want to get for ourselves, to feel good. We're going to have to get rid of that illusion that those ambitions will ever be fulfilled in a way that will give us happiness, because they won't. It's not possible. And I found that made life kind of feel kind of dull. But the idea that you get stuff and you get happy is a complete delusion. It's a fiction. So the god of this third dimensional shift is Ketu. So if you're familiar with Ketu, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you can go look him up. Ketu. And perhaps we should all be worshiping Ganesha. Ganesha is the most positive aspect of Ketu. But Ketu is the god of liberation. But he's the liberation through death to this reality. And wherever Ketu is, which is the south node of the moon, wherever Ketu is in your chart, whatever he's associated with, he destroys any enjoyment. And if you can be aware that, oh, Ketu is teaching me that there's no enjoyment. For instance, my Ketu's in my 5th house. And the 5th house is the house of actors. If you want to be a performer, you got to have a powerful 5th house. So what's interesting is when I had a theater company and I was doing the Hollywood thing and I was directing and acting and acting on the main stage in my own theater, I ended up in the hospital. Almost killed me. And I ended up, limping, after, doing that for however many years I did that. By the time I was 31, I walked away from all of it. And I was absolutely destroyed. I was physically, emotionally, completely, totally wiped out. And it's because Ketu destroys whatever he's associated with, and whatever illusions you have about gaining something, gaining pleasure or status or success, by that he will destroy it. And sometimes it's very sad. Ketu will be associated with Venus in a negative way, and those people can never find love. They're incapable of loving others. They're like, I don't know why. I just I get into relationships and I die inside and I have no feelings for these people. And whatever other reasons there are, lots of times Ketu's sitting there. Ketu says, you're not going to find love in these transactional relationships. I'm not going to let you. It's an illusion. So that's what we have to be ready to do. And the good news is that dark energy that is kind of foreboding and frightening that we don't understand, again, is just our third dimensional ability to perceive, saying, I don't understand what that is. I don't get it. It frightens me. But as this being has said, that being was the darkness that obscures the light of the truth. And a black hole, this is something my Tao teachers taught me, is that a black hole is not black. It's just that we can't see the light. The light on the other side of that black hole is so intense and so bright, we wouldn't be able to perceive it. So we just see a dark hole there. Scientists will tell you there's so much gravity that light can't escape. But also, I've learned that black holes are gateways to higher dimensions. So, you think about black holes dying, destroying, turning you into spaghetti, and, all of that. They're very frightening things. But if we want to get to these higher dimensions, we have to be willing to go through these portals. We have to be willing to die to the illusion that there's anything in the third dimension that we'll ever get, especially when it comes to other humans. Humans will not give you any real love. They will never be able to see you for who you truly are. You can get transactional relationships that can last a lifetime, and you can certainly love people deeply and dearly. I'm not saying that that doesn't exist. I've experienced it, and I know it's there. I know it exists. But even that, even the most loving relationship, the most amazing romantic relationship, the most amazing family love, even the love, love that goes beyond your understanding, the blissful love in the third dimension, is absolutely nothing in comparison to the love that exists in higher dimensions, where you are loved simply because you exist and you are seen as the most powerful being that ever exists. And I'll close as I always do, and now you have a better understanding of it. Please know that you are the most powerful being that has ever existed. Please know that the only thing that you are required to do is exist. And if you spend your entire life focused on fulfilling your deepest desires and bringing happiness and satisfaction to yourself, if you are able to find within yourself your own experience of your greatest light, your greatest love, you will have achieved everything that is possible in this life. And please know you are the most beautiful, the most amazingly bright, brilliant, beautiful being that has ever existed. And that if it weren't for you, I wouldn't exist. And this entire universe was created solely for your pleasure. Please know this. And until we all shift up, I will see you all very soon. I hope to see you guys all tomorrow. Tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m., which is Saturday evening. So we'll have the live guided interdimensional meditations. Again, please know that until we leave this 3D behind, I need your support in order to be able to keep this channel going. So you can subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell button. Do the live interdimensional meditations as often as possible. Follow and like Path of the Thunder Wizard on Facebook. Share Thunder Wizard YouTube video links and Facebook posts on all of your social media. Subscribe to the thunderwizard.com Patreon site. That is thunderwizard.com. Subscribe at whatever level you want. You can also browse the thunderwizard.com shop for the advanced practices in video form. And please do remember that I need your support to keep this channel going and to keep from living on a box on the street or going and being that old greeter, that works at Walmart now that I live in Florida. There's Walmarts here. All right, so that's it. I wish you guys all the best. I'll see you all very soon. Thank you for your time. I love you all. Please take very good care of yourselves. Oh.